I don't know what the hell happened there. Apparently, yeah, that's a big ouchie. I don't know what happened there, folks. Let's take a look real quick. Let me see what happened. I don't know. Somehow the stream got stopped. I don't know what the fuck happened there, but it was going and then it stopped. I don't know why. Very interesting, but we should be back now. So hope you all caught that. What? Where did you all get left off? Well, what did you or did you not see? That is the real good question. So it never started. No, it started because I've got the clip of it still here in my daily recording. So I don't know how it stopped, but okay, then we are going to recap what I just did. All you heard was me clearing my throat. Okay, well then back up and rewind. We're going to be missing 10 minutes of show, so I might have to go 10 minutes over. So should we go back to greetings, everybody? This is Laz. Jack's not with us here today. And that's just the way life is because he's got meetings and all that good stuff. I'm looking here to see if it ever actually went live on this side. And actually, it didn't. So sorry about that. So we are, yeah, we're gonna go a little over just to get the hour in. So we'll start from scratch again today. Sorry about that, folks. It was going. I got to watch that end stream button there because it was doing its thing and somehow it got stopped. So anyway, let's take it from the top. Quiet on the set. Places, everybody. That's right. Technical difficulties. Last technical difficulties long. Holy shit. Well, I'm glad you all spoke up and I actually looked over there. So it is what it is. Giveaway is open. Make sure that you're in on the giveaways. Make sure that you're all raffled up. Make sure that if you want more marbles and raffles, make that more move. If you've got Amazon Prime, which I know many of you do, then go ahead and use that on our streams, which means use that on my stream because Jack's not here today. We'd appreciate it. So we're going to jump back, take a step back, and redo everything I just did over the last 10 minutes. I'll go look and I'll post the clip on. I got to look at that too, just for shits and giggles. Let's see under content. Did we actually ever get anything on? Yeah, it doesn't. Looks like we got a whole 34 seconds in on Twitch before it went bye-bye. So, okay. So, out to the Tweetiverse for starters. And we got to bring that back up on screen. Is, of course, we are just a little over 1 week out. Tomorrow we'll make it 1 week out from release 93. And we don't have a whole bunch of information, but there is a gleam of information here. Oh, Stymie, thank you very much. I appreciate that. You know, give it to those daily folks. That's right. Give it to those daily folks. But a little glimpse into what we got coming out here on the QA here today. New QA version is out. The giant fight is in a better state now and worth testing. Worth testing. So if you want to test that giant fight out, you want to get yourself out to the QA server and go ahead and do that. Lightning Ring is getting a big change in the next version, but otherwise close. Lightning Ring. I wonder what that's going to do. Is that actually going to cast lightning on something? Is that going to allow you to wear the ring and do what it does? I don't know, but we will find out. Of course, having some information on this would be a whole lot better, but it is what it is. Um, and Jortgrund, performance in AI behavior for parties could use some testing. Yeah, apparently that's what it looks like. A lightning ring looks like a new artifact, unless it's player craftable, Eric, on this, which I highly doubt. But it is what it is, so we shall find out. We shall find out. And for Thradia here, Thradia, you're going to have to hear all that stuff all over again. So if you were paying attention in the first place.
It's okay. We like to hear you talk.
Well, at least you do. I don't know about the rest of them.
Screw the rest of them.
Yeah, there you go. That's right. All right. So anyway, what I was talking about, we're going to be doing some non-Shrouded Avatar news here today to get us started. And EA explains its botched decision to remove Ultima Underworld and the Syndicate from good old games because removing the games failed to consider the player's best interests. And EA said it won't happen again. So, yeah, I highly doubt that because EA uh, is known for really screwing the pooch when it comes to things. But in June, the ages but great games Ultima Underworld and Syndicate were removed from good old games at the publisher's request, that publisher being Electronic Arts. It was a loss as a matter of principle, if nothing else. While both games are pushing 30 years old, they are also benchmark games in their genres, but then 6 weeks later, they were suddenly returned. Smart move, guys. Smart move. It was all a bit strange, and the only explanation from EA was a vague acknowledgement that somebody dropped the ball, you'd think. And it seemed that 20 years on, there's still plenty of love for these titles, so we're pleased to confirm that effective immediately, they'll be available again on good old games, it said at this time. Speaking more recently to the game industry, however, the executive vice president Chris Bruzzo went a little deeper into what happened. The short being that EA really misread the room, which is, press speak for "we fucked up and we're sorry." When making a decision that affects players, we take time to review exactly what the potential impacts are and whether they serve the player's best interests. Again, the player's best interests, he said. When we delisted the Syndicate and Ultima Underworld, we missed that step, so we didn't fully consider the player's perspective. Yeah, what else is new? Is not a first, not a last. The backlash was enough to prompt EA to walk back the whole thing and run a month-long giveaway as sort of a mea culpa for stressing everyone out, Russo said. Also promised that EA will ensure that going forward we have a process in place that considers the player perspective in listing decisions. Echoing that explanation provided by EA Games, EA, when the games were returned to good old games, he said, "We saw so much love for these titles more than 20 years after they originally launched. We realized that we had to make them available again. And because of that, Ultima Underworld 1 and 2, Syndicate Plus, and Syndicate Wars are all free through September 3rd. For all you guys and gals out there who may want those in your libraries or may have missed that or missed our preview on those being taken out of the store back when this actually happened, we did cover that back a while ago. And again, in my opinion, if the games are in the store and they're even making a couple sales a month, you just leave them in the freaking store. It don't hurt nobody to leave them listed. Even if they're not making sales, just leave them listed. You might sell a copy or two here and there. Why ever delist anything? It don't cost you anything to leave them in a store. Yeah, yeah. Well, that's another story in itself, Red Dragon. Failing to consider the player's best interest is a catnip specialty, he says. Yeah, with a 40-person input and a 20-20 and a 50-50 split, yeah, usually he goes the wrong way on that. Instead of putting it out on official channels and getting a real player perspective. But there's a term for this, the long tail. Yeah, absolutely. And Tina, yeah, that's true. If y'all didn't want to hear us talk, especially me or Jack, you guys wouldn't be here for 7+ years doing what y'all do. So again, thank you all for the support over the years. We do appreciate it. But let's talk lightning ring, something that yeah, unheard of prior to now, and now is available, going to be available. It's on QA for anybody who wants to go try and farm it. No information as to where you would find this artifact or how you would find this artifact. So again, you'll be out there doing whatever it is you do. Sivy says EA is run by incompetent people with a narrow view who only think of profits. Sad thing is they are too big to fail, so gamers are stuck with them. Very true. And 300 bits from Bridge Troll with the title of Long Live the Syndicate. Absolutely. And Bridge Troll, let's see what we've got for you today. Let's see. Let's see. Here we go. Gonna get yourself a copy of The Slater, which is $9.99 on Steam, going out to Bridge Troll. The Slater looks pretty interesting. Guy with a cigar, looking pretty dastardly as their preview picture. So $3 gets you $9.99. Not a bad trade-off. Not a bad trade-off at all. And of course, Bridge Troll's famous for sharing the love. If he's already got a game, he'll throw that key out to you, but I doubt you have this one. Barbie's Back Burger. LLBT, Long Live Bridge Troll. Very cool. Very cool. But in other news out there, we've got, again, this one actually sort of shocked me. Again, non-Shroud news, but related nonetheless. This actually comes from The New Yorker, that upscale magazine. And I'm going to try and get through this one as quickly and eloquently as I can. But the computer game that led to enlightenment. And of course, if you are familiar with the pictures there, you'll note that that's an early Ultima game, and this is actually Ultima 4, the quest for the Avatar, um, which again, another 35-year-old game, I believe they say in the article here. But the author puts this in really great perspective, and I wanted to share it with you. And since Jack's not here, I'll be able to actually share the whole article instead of Jack just breezing over it and going yada yada yada, Richard Garriott yada yada, and being done with it. Because some interesting stuff here, so I'm just gonna get to it. After a fierce battle with an evil wizard and his skeleton minions, I found rest at an abbey. I spent an excessive amount of time lost in the wilds of Britannia, a kingdom ruled by the benevolent monarch, Lord British, trying to find a town of view where I might be able to locate a relic known as the Rune of Justice. At the Abbey, I visited the local healer who patched me up, and the hope of completing my quest to excel in the 8 virtues honesty, compassion, valor, justice, sacrifice, honor, spirituality, and humility was restored. So too was my hopes of winning the game and becoming the Avatar, an enlightened beacon for all of Britannia. The healer, as well as the sorcerer and his legions of resurrected bones, were little more than 4-colored graphics crudely animated against the simple playing screen of computer game Ultima 4 Quest of the Avatar, which is turning 35 this year. 35 years old, Ultima 4 is, folks. Compared with contemporary games, this two-dimensional adventure is an anachronism From an aesthetic point of view, there is little to recommend it, save for the invigorating nostalgia that it induces in those old enough to remember the original. Nonetheless, the journey to fulfill my character's spiritual destiny was starting to feel a little personal. Over video chat, the game's developer, Richard Garriott, explained that his feeling was exactly what he wanted players. This feeling was exactly what he wanted players to experience. You yourself are the character. It's not an alter ego, Garriott said. It is your moral compass guiding your actions. Garriott's first role-playing games were written when he was a teenager in BASIC on a teletype which used paper spools. While connected to mainframe computers, there were no graphics. Asterisks were used for the walls, letters for various monsters, and eventually he acquired an Apple II, one of the first home computers with color graphic capabilities. In his bedroom, Garriott wrote a game called Akalabeth, World of Doom. Everybody's familiar with that, right? You all got a copy of that out there? I know I do. His mother, an artist, helped him think about perspective and other visual elements. Garriott packed the computer discs for Calibet in a Ziploc bag and sold them at a local computer store. They were discovered by a national game distributor who offered to repackage the game and raise the price from $20 to $35. In the summer before he left for college, Garriott, then 19, made $150,000, triple his father's NASA astronaut salary, which back then, of course, was something to be said. Garriott, an avid player of Dungeons and Dragons and a compulsive reader of J.R.R. Tolkien's Lord of the Rings trilogy, he wanted his next game to feel like a living world with its own mythos and history. To this end, he developed Ultima 1 and Ultima 2 with user manuals written as if they were pieces of fiction, describing the world of Britannia and Lord British in intricate detail. Ultima 2 contained a delightful cloth map with the names of the kingdom cities spelled out in runes. A series of conflicts over money and management led Garriott to break with the national game distributor, so he and his older brother started a company called Origin Systems. You all know and love the original Origin Systems, who is now held by the evil, aforementioned previous article, EA Games, who refuses to deal with Garriott to this day in re-releasing stuff and doing stuff. But that's another whole story in itself. To publish Ultima 3 Exodus, Ultima 3 was the crucible out of which Ultima 4 would arise. By the mid 80s, the phenomenon known as satanic panic was reaching its peak, with many conservative and religious leaders viewing role playing games such as Dungeons and Dragons as corrupting influences, turning young people towards witchcraft and violence. I always loved that, even back then, because that was happening during my days as a young adult and teenager. The mother of one Ultima player was so horrified by the image of a demon on the cover art for Ultimate 3, which Garriott told me is based on the devil Chernabog from the Walt Disney film Fantasia, that sent a letter to Garriott, who is 22, calling him a satanic perverter of American youth. What did she know? It was the fan mail that sent Garriott on a path towards reimagining what computer role playing games could do. In these letters, people described how they played the first three Ultimas, which were open world games which did not require a linear path to complete, giving players the freedom to steal from shops or kill townfolks. The letter writers explained, according to Garriott, that the easiest way to gain power was not to play the good guy, was to play the bad guy. And he tells this story in detail. If you've ever met Richard and have had the chance to be regaled of these tales, it's a wonderful sit and listen. So if you ever get the chance, please do, because I have, and it's just wonderful to hear him tell it in his own persona. He was despondent. I inadvertently made games that drove players to act dishonorably, as this was the path of least resistance. What if, he wondered, if there were a game in which you had moral choices, if which your moral choices had consequences? He wanted the next installment of Ultima to reward honor and courage and to penalize players for casual depravity. Garriott's family and colleagues warned them that players might feel they're being punished for having admitted to enjoying robbing and murdering, but Garriott ignored them. This was the art that I was compelled to make, he said. There would be where would moral ideas come from? Gary had studied Christian theology, Greek philosophy, and Arthurian codes of conduct, but none felt applicable enough for all people. He was attracted to Buddhist and Hindu, though, but the traditions didn't seem to offer a framework for a game. The plan for Ultima 4 coalesced for Garriott after repeatedly watching his favorite movie, The Wizard of Oz. Garriott had been ruminating on the essential ideas of truth, love, and courage and realized that the Scarecrow, Tin Man, and Cowardly Lion respectively embodied these concepts. With these three ideals, Garriott created a schema of rational virtues through which a player would develop a hero. Yay, hero! Ultima 4 begins with a small experiment in personal ethics. Your character enters a Renaissance fair where a fortune teller invites you into her covered wagon. That's right, the historic gypsy wagon. There, using cards reminiscent from those of the tarot, she presents a series of questions. For example, you are told by your king to evict a poor serf from the land. Do you honorably uphold your duty to your liege, or do you show compassion by refusing the order, thereby suffering dishonor? When the fortune teller finishes the reading, a strange portal in a stone circle opens, and you step through to Britannia. The gameplay in Ultima 4 was similar to many of its competitors. Visit cities, towns, and talk with residents to find clues in various quests, buy and sell food, weapons, armor, explore dungeons, solve puzzles, wield magical wield magic, and of course fight monsters. But in Ultima 4, chasing and slaughtering a creature that is fleeing from battle would be considered cowardly. Giving your hard-won gold pieces to a starving beggar would help you along the path of compassion. And this is really what gets me because I've heard these stories as well. And yes, Tina, I know America's youth was already perverted. That's an understatement, to say the least. But we'll talk about that later. But these stories I've heard directly from Richard as well. The mail from Ultima 4 poured in to the Origin Systems offices, which Richard never throws away anything. He's got all that mail still to this day because Richard is a hoarder. One woman wrote to Garriott that her daughter, who had begun shoplifting, played Ultima 4 and mended her ways. Even more remarkable were the emotional letters from Christian gamers who claimed that to become the Avatar had helped them feel closer to God. One player wrote to say that Garriott taught him almost everything I know about morality and ethics. People felt deeply connected to a game in which winning was not just about kills but behavior. Garriott discovered that even though he couldn't possibly program Ultima 4 to respond to every action, people played as if the game could. It didn't matter if there was really a virtue test, Garriott said. It mattered if the player believed there was a test, which is quite compelling to understand on that. Often, when I should be doing something else, writing, reading, cooking dinner, I play a present day descendant of Ultima, Skyrim, and wander its open world, which is vast. The technical details, range of quests, and storyline are extraordinary. Few games have offered this level of freedom. I can be whoever I choose, good, bad, and although I might be arrested for stealing and spend some time in virtual jail, I could depart from the game's main storyline to try killing all of the town's guards and fleeing with their weapons. The game doesn't care that instead I chose to kill only evil enemies and not take items from graves or temples, yet ever since playing Ultima 4 all these decades ago, I can't shake the feeling that integrity of my actions in computer role-playing games matters. uh, Computer, stop. Can't say that word to my Alexa. Although Skyrim might not hold players to a code of conduct, the influence of Ultima 4 can be found in the moral choices that have become an essential part of many video games. In the decaying multiplayer of the Ultima franchise, Ultima Online, Gary introduced a self-populating ecology, including a logarithm that balanced the number of herbivores along with the food supply and carnivores. Gary assumed that players would leave the herbivores alone and hunt only creatures like bears and wolves when a quest line prompted them. Instead, players killed every animal as soon as it showed up. Another great story he tells, destroying the ecology and prompting Garriott to simply remove the code from the game. Through his career as a game designer, Garriott, who is 59, has never given up the idea that you can lead players towards ethical remedies to in game situations. His latest game, Shroud of the Avatar, continues the theme of building virtue. He believes that the parables and quandaries of Ultima 4 constitute his greatest artistic achievement. I would like to improve those qualities in future games, he said, but I don't think I can. And that's what we've got on that. But to see the New Yorker do a piece on this uh, was very interesting. And of course, I'm guessing that the author is somebody who was a teenager during those years and grew up with all this wonderful, crazy stuff. But yes, if you ever get the chance to be regaled of any of these stories and sit down and listen to Richard tell them, it's definitely worth doing. So if you get a chance to meet him at a Comic Con or a Dragon Con, which he's usually at every year, if you don't know that, or even maybe a future SodaCon if it's ever held again, take the chance and do it. Sit down, listen to the stories because they're wonderful to hear them told from his own point of view. So. Absolutely, some great stuff there, and great reminiscing, and just see how the author looked at this. Absolutely, Tina. You've been there with me in several different cases where we just got to sit there and listen to Richard go on about all the letters, all the foibles, I think is the word I'm looking for. Of writing of different gaming companies he's been with, the good, the bad, the ugly, and the in between of the gaming world. Everything from starting that first game in Ziploc bags to the first cloth map to where we are today is absolutely just a great long strange trip that it's been, and I'm happy to have been part of that throughout the years. One of the reasons why I became a large supporter of Shroud of the Avatar, to say the least. Out of all the games he's done, very few have failed to stand the test of time. And it looks like Shroud of the Avatar is on its way to being one of those games. Again, Ultima 4, 35 years old. Ultima Online, I believe, is turning 27 this year. And many of the other games that were listed in the prior article, over 30 years old, and still garner attention from the gaming community, which just is enough to wobble the mind, in the immortal words of Kelly Bundy. Um, any game that can stand that test of time still gets players to play, and can get a company like EA to change their decisions and actually, go back and relist their games that they pulled out of a marketplace. It's got to be worth noting. So um, happy to see that, and just happy to talk about some of those points there that were taken. Of course, for those of you who do know that Shroud of the Avatar is the spiritual successor to Ultima Online, and he's taken a lot of not just the online facets, but the original game facets, and tried to blend them all into this here game. So while we still see some of that lacking, we're hoping to see that in the future. The attempts to create more story-driven lines, story-driven gameplay will come, and we're waiting on the episode 2 to see that happen. So, great little article, and was happy to see it. Surprised to see it in the New Yorker, nonetheless. But yeah, great stories there. One of my favorite stories is, and Richard, has actually broke these letters out a couple times, where he tells the tales. And Tina, you might recall this one because this is one of the funniest tales I think he tells. But almost every single Ultimate game he ever released, he had this one fan, and the same fan for every single game would write him and tell him what a piece of shit game it was. That was the worst game in history, and he's never gonna buy another game of his ever again. Basically, was the long and short of the letters that this guy sent. And this happened for every game. And then a few months later, the same guy would write a letter telling him what a fantastic game it was now that he finally played through it. It was one of his most favorite games that he's ever played, and he can't wait until the next game comes out. And then no sooner did the next game come out, the cycle repeated. He sent a letter saying, "This is the worst game you've ever released. Why did I even buy this game?" And then by the time he finished playing the game, wrote another letter saying that it was one of the greatest games and he shouldn't have been so, you know, early to, easy to judge, and, what an incredible game it was. And this happened over a series of the Ultimate games. And he got letters again, like, and he's still got these letters to this day. And hearing Richard tell the story is just too funny because, he can really express the sentiment of the players. But one of the things that drove him over the years was all the fan mail they got. And if you've ever completed this game or any Ultimate game, at the end of the game it says contact Lord British, and some of the earlier games even have the old original Origin Systems telephone number. They would prompt you to call Origin Systems and report thy feat to Lord British. And for those of you who do not know, the same thing happens at the end of Shroud of the Avatar when you finally achieve your Shroud. It gives you how long it took you to finish, tells you to go ahead and report thy feat and contact Lord British. And you can now do that on Twitter. And of course, he does respond and congratulate everybody who does report their feat to him. And for those people who are completing the older ones, they used to send out certificates, and Lord British will still send out that certificate even for the older games. He's had recreations of the originals because most of the originals were lost. But of course, he saved one or two of them and then recreated them so that if you want to go back and beat those games and report to Lord British and request a certificate of completion, he will still do that to this day. One of those things that just really just knocks me out about Richard, that he'll take the time to actually get that done for players 30, 35 years later on those games that he wrote in his early days as a young game developer. So that impresses me. But anyway, moving right along, let's get back to some Shroud of the Avatar topics here. Again, that last article, the only mention of Shroud of the Avatar was that this is his newest game, and who knows? We may see more or less later. You guys are getting crazy out there. I love free shit. Long live the syndicate. Oh, that rhymes even. I'll tell you what. That rhymes. But moving right along, we have interesting topic out here entitled Return of Ransom. And I love how people do this. This is coming from the Revenant. I suggest returning to the rescue system. Rescue system? I didn't know he had a rescue system. I think he means the ransom system. As I see, there are players who are fishing or farming on PvP maps without any risk. This defeats the purpose of a PvP map system. And many of these players are in AFK mode. This is the main one problem. Catnip's Games monthly fishing tourney and Catnip Games monthly treasure hunting contest doesn't make any sense on a PvP map. You find players fishing or farming in AFK mode, you kill them, and they just resurrect and come back until you give up killing them, and they continue on their map farming forever. Note, even if it's a default value, for example 5k per artifact and 2k per random item, return it with ransom. Well, first off, I do believe that it's impossible to AFK doing anything. You can't fish while AFKing, can you? If so, that's got to be a bug. Um, as well as farming. You can't be AFK farming. So I'm just going to show you right here that my character is AFK while sitting on the lot. Uh, let's see. Does it even say that? Can it even tell you? You can see the little AFK right there. And in order to get out of AFK mood, I got to. Well, yeah, Candace, again, fighting as a ghost, he wouldn't see them as a ghost. You don't see ghosts, do you? I guess you do. No, you don't see ghosts, so he wouldn't know that because all you see is a dead body. So you can't see them AFKing if they were ghost fishing, first off. And if they're botting, he doesn't know that. I mean, that's hard to prove, and it's been hard to prove, uh, for a long, 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 long time. The only way to prove it is to go out and try and interact with the character, and even then, as back in the day, um, and unless threatened with jailing or being booted, I would ignore any developer, any game moderator who is stepping in because I've played plenty of places where moderators or whatever you want to call them, overseers, just they want to stop in and make themselves known to you because they think you're up to something when you're literally not doing anything. And um, it's just one of them things that, unless you can prove that I'm doing something, don't make yourself visible to the players. Don't do that. Do you see the fishing rods of ghosts? I don't know. I've never tried that. Um, but even then, if that was fishing, they still weren't AFK. So I just don't know the answer to that question. So if he's talking about botting, then he should just say botting. But AFKing is not anything to he's got it wrong. But moving right along. Violet says, I know the ransom system is something many players are afraid of and is somewhat easily abused with packs of junk, so I agree. I'd like the risk element to be brought back to PvP, but I don't think the ransom system we had in place before is the solution. But 100% bring back risk. How about full loot? We've been clamoring for it for years now, ever since he decided to test this theory and that theory and the other theory, but the only theory he never tested was full loot. How about full loot? Here's one of my favorites, though. An account wipe. You die, you start back in Solus Bridge with a brand new character. You want to make it real interesting? Let's see how interesting we can make that. Yeah, not. Um, I don't know how many of you people have played early games like MUDs, but I remember quite a few early multi-user dungeons. Acronym for MUD. Or MUD is the acronym for multi-user dungeons, where if you died, that's what happened. You died and you started all over, and not just in PvP. If you died, period, from anything, you would lose all your shit and start over. So it was essential to find somebody to help you get to the levels you wanted, to fight the mobs that you wanted, and always go in parties with some uber tank who couldn't be killed and would stop you from being killed. Yeah, there were only certain MUDs out there that did it. Not all MUDs did this. And I remember playing one years ago that just drove me crazy. Caused me to be late for work more than one time. And I was working as a breakfast cook. So, I mean, I'd be up till 3 o'clock in the morning. I had to be in work at 5, try and take a nap and just, not do it. Um, but I don't know about that. I would say one of the things that I really enjoyed, but again, it ticked off a lot of people was you had to go retrieve your body with your belongings. So what you carried was part of those consequences of losing battles, whether it be to an NPC or whether it be to a PvPer. And so when you died, you had to go retrieve all the items from your body, everything, your armor, your clothing, your inventory, all that stuff, instead of just your body dies and all your inventory stays with you the way it does here in Shroud. Um, let's see. Well, yeah, it kind of this just as an experiment. See if that does what everybody's been asking for, because they experimented with this part of loot, they experimented with that part of loot, they experimented with, you know, and one of the other things that I sort of disagree with is just having a PvP flag to begin with, and giving people bonuses for going PvP. You play games like Red Dead Redemption, Grand Theft Auto, or a dozen other games, you are free to kill in any game, most any game I play these days, no matter what. When you're playing in multiplayer, you're in that world, okay? There is no you're safe, you're safe in your house, or you're safe in a private, um, scene that you got to, you got to hide out, or you got a little, I'll give you examples like in Grand Theft Autos, you got, your garages, you got your offices, you got your penthouses, you got certain places where you can go where there's no action can take place. But the minute you step outside that door, you're fair game for everybody. And there's just no way around that. But there are ways around that in certain games too. But that's the point. Is the point is you're living in a world that you know that's part of the gameplay. If you don't like it, don't play the game. And I can't imagine somebody playing Eve and thinking that they're not going to get attacked flying their $20,000 starship out there in the world because somebody else wants your starship. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's just that's just the way the game is. You have to live through the effort to get to a safe place. Absolutely. Kill or be killed is the way. Only the strong survive. Survival of the fittest. You know. Now I can understand, a safe haven for characters up to a certain level, that give them time to, you know, cut their teeth as it may be, and go ahead and, up to say level 40 or 50. They're invulnerable to PvP attacks, but once you pass a certain level, nah, man, you're fair game. You are fodder for everybody and anybody out there. Um, even at that, I would say maybe a handful of towns. And again, uh, should all player-owned towns be a safe haven, or should just places like Owl's Head, Solta, and Adoris be places of safe haven? Once you enter the town, you're safe. Um, that's why we originally had such long teleport times, was to stop people from escaping easily from PvP. But of course, that concept went out the window. Uh, just because people complained about that time. But and again, Violet goes on to add to this. With the twist, everyone is permaflag starting now, and no private instances anymore. Absolutely, that's what I was getting to on that one. Uh, Better yet, when you flag, you have to provide the Oracle with a credit card number. Every PvP death costs you $5 transferred to the account of whoever killed you. That's a little steep, but cute nonetheless. Sage Rise is getting a root canal and watching Laz. How do you manage that in the dentist office? Does the dentist have, like, or has he got a place where you can put your phone up and, just do that? Yeah, which is more painful? Well, you need to take out a second mortgage. Why lose your job? I don't understand Cora on this one. Vesper says there needs to be risk versus reward. Yes, the ransom system, however, isn't an answer in the meantime. Better to let them figure out a new system and put it in place versus reintroducing Ransom, which would just scare people off who want to get into PvP. Ransom is the number 2 reason why I've never PvP'd. Body parts being number 1. Body parts are still part of PvP, aren't they? As far as I know. That said, there should be risk in some form, just one that makes sense. Yeah, it's called full loot, people. It's called full loot. It'll teach you how to be creative while you're out there. The other answer, of course, is cell phone, and yes, there's a way to. Let's see. Tina says, I casting invis and following around the noob, casting healing buffs on them. That's you can't do that anymore, can you? Yeah. And one of those things that I just really never, you can't heal. Trying to heal a player, PvPer when you weren't in the party would flag you, all sorts of stuff. Yeah, Merrick, that's not gonna happen. We had a faux pas earlier. Uh, Violet wants to know why body parts were his number 1 reason, and Joe says, I didn't notice any increase in PvP activity with Ransom turned off. Bring it back. At least tournaments don't be won by people AFK. Yeah, I don't understand that. Don't be won by people AFK fishing in PvP scenes. Maybe botting, which actually answers the question of, what the original poster was saying there. But truly, my belief, 2 things. Either full loot across the board, and everybody is flagged, period, are two of the really great answers. The 2 things that we've never tried in the game. This allows you to be conscious of what you're carrying, because I tell you what, if that was the case, then you better believe that I hit the wrong button. I mean, I've got so much crap on me because I am a merchant that I usually only travel from town to town to town, which as a merchant would allow me to play that. If you want to put safe havens like Owl's Head, Sultan, I I've got bags worth of bags worth of bags worth of bags, just stuff that I use that I sell on my merchants, um, on my vendors, and I wouldn't want to carry that around in a PvP atmosphere. I would have a bank box, that which is one of them store items that can't be looted because store items are a safe haven. Or the other thing being that if you come across somebody in a scene, whatever they have farmed in that scene becomes the loot then. So if you're out in deep Ravenswood and you've gathered hundreds of hides and dozens of this and artifacts, anything that you happen to get into in that scene would then drop as loot if you were killed, would be another option. Um, Again, many viable options for it, but either make it all or nothing, in my opinion. I've never been a believer of flagging PvP and giving people a bonus for that when some of the better players are just, non-PvPers and they have to suffer a penalty because somebody wants to just put a flag on them. And which, again, there are no consequences to. No consequences, but they get that 10% bonus. Used to be 25% bonus. And yeah, just, I don't get it. And the other thing I don't get, um, which is a good point, let me back up over here for a second. Oops, hate when that happens. I scroll on one screen and it scrolls in on the game screen because the game doesn't pay attention. Uh, let's jump back to this topic here. Where you kill them and they just resurrect and come back until you give up killing them. One of my favorite points happens to me a lot in Grand Theft Auto, because a lot of times I'm out doing my thing, and unless it's something that I'm interested in competing in. They have challenges, they have all sorts of dailies, they have all sorts of stuff that comes up throughout the day. Unless it's one of them, I've had plenty of idiots that you're just going about your daily business and people just want to come up and kill you for no reason because they can. Whether they're trying to get their kill count up, which nobody ever looks at. I never look at anybody's kill count. I don't give a shit how many kills you got, how many deaths you got. I'm just one of those players. It doesn't mean nothing to me. It's not a stat that has any effect, consequence versus effect in the game of Grand Theft Auto. Um, so, they'll kill me and then they'll kill me and they'll kill me, and I'll just continue on, moving in the same direction that I'm moving. I won't fight back some of the time. Sometimes I just get an asshole that I just got to take out, and that's when I take out the big guns. And yeah, because people are dicks. Exactly. Um, and eventually they just get tired of it when they realize that, you know, they're just waste. Well, first off, I love just making them waste their ammunition because that costs money. So if you're wasting your ammunition on me, by all means, go ahead and waste your ammunition. Knock yourself out. Is I'm gonna go about my day. I'm gonna make my millions in gold so I can buy the next big thing that I want. And of course, the amount of content that's been coming out lately out of GTA is always phenomenal. I wish I could say the amount of content coming out here would be even close to that, but it is what it is. Also, news of the content. I know that Rockstar is a bigger company, but you know what? One of those pet peeves of Jack and I where we used to get daily stand up corners, weekly updates, weekly live streams, all that. And now we're lucky to get a tweet once every couple days giving us any insight to what the game is, which makes it harder for the players as well as our job as, reporting the news here a little bit more difficult. But, and then they wonder why we come at them going, well, you guys don't talk so great. Well, you know what? There ain't nothing great to talk about when you're not giving us new and exciting stuff to explore and look at and talk about. So we're gonna talk about the things that everybody's complaining about because that's the only news we've got. That's just the reality of it, folks. And is that our fault that that's what's out there, or is it the fault of the developers for not giving us good information to talk about and get you all excited about? Um, that's always one of my quandaries, and again, I take it with a shrug. Listen, it is what it is. When we had a daily stand-up corner, we can knock out 20 minutes just going over what each of the developers was working on daily, which would give people excitement and insight as to what to expect in the upcoming weeks or months. That, oh wow, so and so is working on this. I've been waiting for that. Or so and so is working on that. I love that idea. Well, now the best we got is a lightning ring that we have no information about, and we won't have any information about probably for another week or so, if it even makes it into the game. Buy a Megalopolis? No, believe me, I've already invested more than what most people make in a year into this game. Well into the I want to say $25,000 range overall, and probably even more than that, and not including time, money, expenses to run the studio, costs to me, but literally, thousands upon thousands of dollars invested in the game. Lazarus's character is a Duke character. That character sitting right there in front of you is a $5,000 character just in himself. I've got several others that are worth $500 a piece. I've got a couple others that are worth $1,200 plus that I paid for so I can buy property. I've bought more property than I know what to do with, which if you all haven't seen my property list, you can see that I've spent just a little bit of money getting property in this game, as well as telethon purchases. I used to spend 45, $50 a month supporting telethons until they decided that they didn't want people reselling items. The amount of money I put into this game is stupid. But that's neither here nor there. I did it because of my love for the game. I wanted to support the game, but at this point, what they get is a $9 subscription every month, and That's their own fault as far as I'm concerned. And at this point, I even question whether those goodies are worth the $9. But I do it because it helps support the game. So as long as the game is continuing on, and again, I paid for 5 episodes. I want to be here for those 5 episodes. Um, yeah. So I mean that was what it was really all about. And Red Dragon, well, that's what it was. This was a crowd-funded game, and I think that you know Chris has lost sight of that. Um, this wasn't a game company that got some investors who wanted a return on their investment out of some big conglomerate and said, "Here's money, make this game, and we'll take a cut of the proceeds." We invested in the game, so we were the people who paid for this game. We're the people who need to be answered to, and these days we get very little in feedback, when it comes to that. So,
My
um,
balls itch.
yeah, what else is new? What else
Holy
is new?
fuck! I just got off that call.
Yeah, well, you're just in time for almost the ending.
I gotta go
Chris,
pee, man. It
Chris
should have
has
ended
been
5
on
minutes ago.
NBN. Yeah, technical difficulties. Lazarus strikes again. It technically should have ended, but the first 10 minutes never aired, so we had to
Oh, that's even better.
do
Welcome,
a little
welcome.
reboot. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, Chris is always welcome here. He knows that. We just recently did about a month ago the Lord of the Isle interview with Trina and Chris. Trina wanted to take his Lord of the Isle hour of dev time, and he wanted to share that with everybody here at NBNN. And Chris was pleasantly pleased at the treatment he says he got. And of course, we've never treated any of them badly. It's just that sometimes people tell us that we're very harsh on on him and the developers, but it's not that we're harsh on him. We're just harsh on those decisions that he makes sometimes. And again, that's just because sometimes those decisions just don't, uh, you know,
We don't agree with every single decision.
absolutely. Treasure pile, absolutely. We reported on that as well. The Dallas Shroud of the Avatar group. He actually made a tele appearance at that. Did he? It was tele appearance, right? He did it over video chat. He didn't actually come in person.
Okay, I gotta go pee. Y'all have fun.
Rich Charles says, Laz, we are asking you, our secretary. I say secretary. I ain't your secretary, damn it. I'm your host. To set up a call with Chris. We don't need to set up a call. We can just invite Chris on. He'll more than likely take that invite. We just don't go out of our way to do it. Again, Chris has popped in from time to time in Twitch chat, and he knows that he has got uh, a standing invite any day of the week that he wants to come in and share information with people, as do all of you. All of you have a standing invite to come in the Discord, talk with us, voice your opinions live here on the air, and be part of the show. That's what this whole show started to be, was to get the public to come on in and talk about it. But apparently, you all love listening to me and Jack talk so much that hardly any of you take us up on it. Let's see. Today we just have Thradia here in the room, and she's always here. And Z's got something. Z, yeah, wants to know how to get in the Discord. Very simple. You type in discord.me/NBNN or type bang bang Discord in chat, and that will open up a link that'll bring you right on in. See who's requesting to be a friend. See, I thought you were already on my friends list. But anyway, um, there you go, just like that. Bang Discord. Available for anybody and everybody to come on in. Let's see. Discord me. That's because I forgot the S, see? I put HTTP thinking that it would go. But apparently it had to be secure. But anyway, moving right along. It is now time for us to wrap things up here because, again, my oopsie, and I got to see what that's going to be. I guess I'm just going to upload everything without the intros and all that today. See how it sounds for the radio cut, and I'll probably have to modify that. But it is what it is because Laz technical difficulties long. Yeah, that's why it's my middle name. But tell us what you think. Come on into Discord. Chat with us. We're here throughout the day. You can always just type in questions in chat, all that fun stuff. Z says it's not working, even though I just gave him another link. Don't know why, Z. So let's just send them a direct invite. That should help him get on in here. But yeah, you have to type in HTTPS. There he is. Z made it his way in here. Finally. But yes, we're going to wrap things up for today. Again, don't forget, you're tuned in to Lunch with Laz and Jack, where Jack shows up 5 minutes after the show ends. And I don't know where he disappeared to, but he might make it back to say goodbye to everybody here in a moment. Don't forget the Britannia Mining Company, who is one of the biggest supporters and who sponsors our Zoom room every year so that we can do our video chat with you guys. If you're looking to join or you're looking for goods, go check them out. WRFB, Radio Free Britannia, bringing you hourly world news throughout the day, as well as Two Idiots every Monday through Friday at 12s and 6s around the clock with the latest Shroud of the Avatar news, Shroud music for ABC Files, and our favorite sponsor, shameless self-promotion because we've got shops there, shroudmarketplace.com, where you can go buy or sell anything and everything Shroud of the Avatar related. I'll leave it to Bridge Troll to tell you about marrying a duck, buying a duck, and all that good stuff. Things you can do with a duck. Because Bridge Troll, do you have something that got to do with Barbie and a duck? That would be even funnier. Ducking a duck. There you go. But meanwhile, we'll be back with more tomorrow, and maybe Jack will join us live for the whole show. If not, well, you just get to see my smiling face again like you do every day. But till tomorrow, I'm Laz. Jack, are you there? That's Jack, somewhere off in the ether. And we are NBNN. Have a great day, everybody, and we'll see you all tomorrow.